Jai Hind students, welcome to my YouTube channel. Students, believe in yourself to do the impossible. Have the courage to call a spade a spade. Put effort and perseverance to pursue a chosen goal. And students, have audacity to accept the presence of fear and the will to fight it out. So, students, never ever give up on yourself. Just press on.
With that positive note, students, let's begin today's session. Today we are going to start a new unit, which is wave optics. It is actually the branch of optics that deals with the optical phenomena by taking into account the physical nature of light. And it is based on the assumption that light travels in the form of waves. The present unit is concerned with the wave optics, Huygens wave theory, interference, diffraction, polarization, then Doppler's effect. These are the main topics that we are going to cover in this unit. The wave optics, students, it is also called as physical optics because here we are concerned only and only with the physical nature of light. According to wave theory of light, the light travels in the form of waves and it successfully explains the phenomena of reflection, refraction, interference, diffraction, polarization, right? On the other hand, students, according to the particle theory of light, light travels in the form of small packets of energy. And this particle theory of light is able to successfully explain modern phenomena like photoelectric effect, Compton effect, then discrete spectrum of atoms, right? So these observations appear to indicate that no theory is perfectly correct. But de Broglie gave an explanation of this problem. He suggested that wave nature and particle nature both are essential characteristics of light. That is, light is both a wave as well as a particle. This is actually called as dual nature of light, right? So, in the wave optics, we will discuss the wave nature of the light. And before we start with the topic, we need to understand the concept of wavefront, right? Now, before we start discussing more about wave optics and wavefront, let us watch this short and interesting animation. I'm sure you'll enjoy watching it, and thereafter we will continue with this topic.
In order to understand the concept of wavefront, let us consider a ball or a pebble to be thrown in a pool of water. Water ripples are created and the waves travels on the water surface in the form of crest and trough. All the points on that circle will oscillate with the same phase. That is, the locus of all the particles of the medium which at any instant are vibrating in the same phase is called the wavefront. All the points on the wavefront are located at the same distance from the source, and hence at any instant all such particles must be vibrating in phase with each other. Now an arrow which is drawn normal to the wavefront and pointing in the direction of propagation of the disturbance represents a ray. A ray is the path along which the disturbance travels. Christian Huygens proposed the wave theory of light, according to which a source of light sends out disturbance in all the directions. In the case of a point source, a spherical wavefront is associated, as shown in the figure. And for a linear source, when the source of light is linear in shape, such as a slit, a cylindrical wavefront is produced. It is because all the points which are equidistant from the linear source lie on the surface of the cylinder. A small part of a spherical or a cylindrical wavefront originating from a distant source like sun will appear plane, and hence in such a case the wavefront is known as a planar wavefront.
So students, after watching the animation, we conclude that a source of light, it sends out disturbances in all the directions, right? And in a homogeneous medium, that is, in case the density of the medium is assumed to be constant. So in such a homogeneous medium, the velocity of light waves in all the directions is same. So as a result, light waves, it travels equal distances in equal intervals of time in all the directions, right? And therefore, the disturbances reaches all those particles of the medium in phase which are located at the same distance from the source of light. And hence, at any instant, all such particles must be vibrating in phase with each other. Vibrating in phase means all those particles which are equidistant from the source must be in the same state of vibration. That is, in phase. In phase means having same state of vibration. Clear, students? So, the locus of all such particles of a medium which are vibrating in the same phase, that is known as a wavefront. And locus means, students, a set of conditions which satisfy a given particular condition, right? Suppose the locus of all those points which are equidistant from a given point, that would naturally be a circle, because all those points lying on the circumference of the circle will be equidistant from its center, isn't it? So locus means a set of points which satisfies a given particular condition. So now we are in a position to define wavefront. So wavefront is actually the locus of all such particles, the locus of all such particles of a medium which are vibrating in same phase, which are vibrating in same phase, and only those particles will be vibrating in the same phase which receives the disturbance from the source at the same instant of time, and that will happen only when the medium is homogeneous and the disturbance travel equal distances in equal intervals of time. So the locus of all such particles of a medium which are vibrating in same phase is called as the wavefront. It is known as the wavefront. So basically, students, the wavefront may also be defined as the hypothetical. Hypothetical means imaginary. So it may also be defined as the hypothetical or imaginary surface on which the light waves are in the same phase. That is, they are in the same state of vibration. And always remember, students, the wavefront is always perpendicular to the direction of propagation of the light waves. And the straight line which is perpendicular to the wavefront, it is known as ray of light. And the light waves always propagate along the direction of ray of light. So, based on the shape of the source of light, wavefront we have discussed, it can be of following types, right? So, let's discuss the different types of wavefront. A spherical wavefront is produced by a point source. Students, let us consider this to be a point source. And initially, that is t equals to 0, right? Now it will start sending the disturbance in all the directions, and if the medium is homogeneous, then the disturbances will travel equal distances in equal intervals of time, right? So the disturbance from this source will propagate in all the directions with the same speed c. Suppose it's in vacuum, the speed of light is c. Hence, after time t, all the points on a hypothetical sphere of radius ct, suppose this is ct. So the disturbance from point S in time t will cover this distance, isn't it? This much distance. It will cover distance ct in all the directions. So after time t, all the points on a hypothetical sphere of radius ct with the point source at the center are in the same phase of oscillation. So what I mean to say is that all these points which are lying on this imaginary sphere on its surface, they all will receive the disturbance from this point source at the same instant of time, and thus will start vibrating in the same phase. That is, all these particles will have the same state of vibration. The locus of all these points, that is, these points all lie on the surface of a sphere, isn't it? So this hypothetical sphere will act as a spherical wavefront of light. So, for a point source, the nature of the wavefront associated is spherical, right? And one more point, students. An arrow which is drawn normal to the wavefront and pointing in the direction of propagation of disturbance, it represents a ray of light. So, this is the wavefront. So, this is the ray of light. It is perpendicular to the wavefront, isn't it? So, again I repeat, students, an arrow which is drawn normal to the wavefront and pointing in the direction of propagation of the wave, that represents a ray of light. And a ray of light is the path along which the light travels, isn't it? And since the ray of light is normal to the wavefront, normal means perpendicular to the wavefront, it is also called as the wave normal. So these are the arrows which are perpendicular to the wavefront and they are also known as wave normal. So this is the direction along which the wave propagates. It is actually ray of light. It is always perpendicular to the wavefront, like this. And for a point source in space, a spherical wavefront is associated. And students, for a point source located in a plane, the nature of the wavefront will be circular. It will be the two-dimensional case. When the source of light is linear, this is the linear source of light, right? So when the source of light is linear in shape, example a slit, then all the points which are equidistant from the source will lie on the surface of the cylinder, isn't it? So all the points which lie on this imaginary surface of this cylinder will receive the disturbance from this linear source at the same instant of time, and hence all the particles of the medium lying on the surface of the cylinder will receive the disturbance at the same instant of time and therefore start vibrating in the same phase. So therefore we conclude that for a linear source, the nature of the wavefront is cylindrical. When the point source or the linear source of light, this is the point source and this is the linear source of light, is at a very large distance, then a small portion of this spherical or this cylindrical wavefront appears to be a plane, right? And such a wavefront is known as a plane wavefront. Clear, students? In a single medium, we can draw a set of straight lines which are perpendicular to the wavefront. So this represents a planar wavefront and this is the ray of light. This is the direction along which the disturbance propagates. It should be always perpendicular to the wavefront. So for a planar wavefront, the source can be a point source or it can be a linear source. But for a planar wavefront, the condition is that the source must be at a very far away distance. It's a parallel beam, and students, the wavefront representing a parallel beam is a planar wavefront. So these are the planar wavefronts. And as I've told you, always remember, this is the ray of light. It is always normal to the wavefront and it is sometimes known as wave normal. Clear? So ray of light is always normal or perpendicular to the wavefront. And as the wavefront propagates, the amplitude of a plane wavefront remains constant, right? So the amplitude of a plane wavefront it remains constant. As a wavefront progresses, as the wavefront propagates or progresses. Here it represents a set of converging beam, while in this case it represents set of diverging beam. It is the case of converging beam and it is the case of diverging beam. Right? Here, the nature of the wavefront, which represents a converging beam, is spherical in shape. So, in this case, the nature of the wavefront is spherical. The waves are converging at a particular point. Here, from this point, the waves are diverging, isn't it? Here also, the nature of the wavefront associated with a diverging beam is spherical. And as I've stated earlier, in case the wavefront progresses, then the amplitude of a plane wavefront, it remains constant. While in the case of a spherical wavefront, the spherical wavefront, it varies inversely as the distance from the source of light. So, in both these cases, as the wavefront progresses, the amplitude of a spherical wavefront in both these cases, whether we are dealing with a converging beam or a diverging beam, in both these cases, the nature of the wavefront is is spherical, isn't it? So as the wavefront progresses, then the amplitude of a spherical wavefront is found to vary inversely as the distance. And the distance we are talking about is the distance from the source of the light. It varies with the distance as 1 by r from source of light. So this is for spherical wavefront. While on the other hand, for cylindrical wavefront, students, so this is important. This is the first one for planar wavefront. The amplitude of the planar wavefront remains constant, while the amplitude of the spherical wavefront, it varies with distance r as 1 by r, means inversely with the distance. And for the cylindrical wavefront, the cylindrical wavefront, which is associated with a linear source, its amplitude varies inversely as the square root of the distance. And again, this distance is from the source of light. 1 by square root of r from the source of light. Friends, let us discuss Huygens principle. Huygens put forward a principle of secondary wavelets so as to explain the propagation of wavefront or spreading of light in a medium, how the light spreads in a medium or propagates through a medium, right? So Huygens' principle of the propagation of waves is basically a geometrical method, or it is a geometrical consideration of finding the position and shape of the wavefront at any later instant, if the shape and the position of the wavefront at some earlier instant is known to us, right? So before we study the assumptions on which Huygens' principle is based upon, let us watch this very interesting animation which will certainly help you in understanding the concepts. Huygens' principle is a geometrical construction which is used to determine the new position of a wavefront at a later time from its given position at any instant. In other words, the principle gives a method to know as to how light spreads out in the medium. Suppose this is the point source. So as a result, if it is in space, a spherical wavefront is associated. So consider AB be the section of a primary spherical wavefront at any time t. Every point on the given or primary wavefront acts as a source of secondary wavelets.
sending out disturbance in all the directions in a similar manner as the original source of light does. So these are known as the secondary wavelets. In time t, each of these disturbance emitted from the points on the primary wavefront travels equal distance vt. These spheres are called the secondary wavelets originating from the points on the primary wavefront. Now, draw the envelope A dash B dash. This will give the position of the new wavefront at some later instant of time. So, the new position of the wavefront at any instant, which is called the secondary wavefront, is the envelope of the secondary wavelets at that instant. The envelope A dash B dash is termed as the forward secondary wavefront. So Huygens principle is simply a geometrical construction to find the position of wavefront at a later time. The same procedure is adopted for finding the new position of a cylindrical or a planar wavefront. But unfortunately, there is one problem with this theory. The effective part of the secondary wavelets is the front portion of the secondary wavefront. The contribution of wavelets on the back of the secondary wavefront is 0. Huygens assumed that the portion of the secondary wavelets which lies on the backward secondary wavefront does not exist at all. The amplitude is maximum in the forward direction while 0 in the backward direction. Many years later, Voigt and Kirchhoff mathematically proved that the contribution of a wavelet in any direction making an angle theta with the normal to the wavelet is proportional to half 1 plus cos theta. For the portion of the wavelet which lies just on the back of the secondary wavefront, theta is equal to 180 degree, and likewise the factor half 1 plus cos theta becomes 0. Therefore, backward secondary wavefront do not exist.
Students, after the animation, what we have concluded is Huygens principle is basically based on the following assumptions, right? Each point on the given wavefront, which obviously is known as the primary wavefront, the position of which is known to us, it acts as a fresh source of new disturbance and it sends out its own spherical wavelets, which are known as secondary wavelets. Now suppose in order to demonstrate the Huygens principle, let us consider the propagation of a plane wavefront coming from a source of light S which is at a very far away distance, right? So suppose AB, this is suppose A, and let us consider this to be B. Let AB be the section of a primary wavefront. So this is the primary wavefront. Its position is known to us. This is the primary wavefront at instant t equals to 0. This is at instant t equals to 0. Right? Now for determining the position of secondary wavefront after say a time t, take points 1, 2, 3, suppose this is 4, this is, let us consider this to be 5. So as stated in the first assumption, each point on the primary wavefront will act as a source of new disturbance and it sends out its own spherical wavelets. So these are known as the secondary wavelets. These are known as secondary wavelets. So these will act as independent source of light and it will send disturbance in all the direction and it will cover equal distances in equal intervals of time. So in time t, the distance covered in every direction would be c into t, right? It will be c into t. So these are the small spheres of radius ct, right? So these small spheres are known as secondary wavelets. Similarly, taking point 2 as center, we can draw another secondary wavelet. So these are all secondary wavelets, right? And the secondary wavelets from each point travels through the space with the same velocity as that of the original wave. Now, a surface touching these secondary wavelets tangentially in the forward direction at any instant, it will give the position and shape of the new wavefront at that instant. Suppose it is at t equals to 0. So at t equals to t, the new position of the wavefront would be given by the tangent envelope of the secondary wavelet. So let's draw a tangent over here. So this is it. So this is a planar wavefront whose position will be at this point, A dash, B dash, at the instant t equals to t. So students, basically Huygens principle is a geometrical construction which is used to determine the new position of a wavefront at a later instant from its position at any given instant. In other words, the principle gives a method to know as to how light spreads out in the medium, right? Now this is known as forward secondary wavefront. It is known as forward secondary wavefront. Similarly, you can also draw a tangent envelope in the backward direction, like this, in the backward direction. This is known as backward secondary wavefront. This is the backward secondary wavefront. And Huygens suggested that backward secondary wavefront do not exist. And later, as we have observed in the animation, that Voigt and Kirchhoff mathematically proved that the contribution of a wavelet in any direction making an angle theta with the normal to the wavelet is proportional to half 1 plus cos theta, right? So it is proportional to half 1 plus cos theta. Now students, theta is the angle with the normal to the wavelet, right? So obviously for the portion of wavelet which lies just on the back of the secondary wavefront, theta is equal to 180 degree. So for backward secondary wavefront, theta is 180 degree, and hence the intensity, it will be equal to 0. So that is how mathematically it was justified by Voigt and Kirchhoff that backward secondary wavefront do not exist, while for forward secondary wavefront, theta is equal to 0 degree. Now look, consider this point, any point on the primary wavefront, and this is a point on the secondary wavefront, forward secondary wave. So this is the line, and the original line coming from the source, isn't it? So the angle between these two is 0 degree. But for a point in the backward secondary wavefront, this is the line coming from the original source, and this is the line coming from point 2. So this will be the angle for a point in the secondary backward wavefront, which is 180 degree, right? But for forward secondary wavefront, theta is 0 degree. So here cos 0 is 1. So 1 plus 1 is 2, half into 2 becomes 1. So I would be 100%, or it would be 1 or 100%. So the wave keeps on propagating in the forward direction. Clear? So similarly, students, we can also demonstrate the Huygens principle by using, or by rather considering, the propagation of a spherical wavefront coming from a point source. So students, let's conclude this session. So I hope you have understood the concept of wavefront, the types of wavefront, and then we have discussed Huygens principle. And in the next lecture, students, we'll be using Huygens principle so as to explain the phenomena of reflection and refraction of light on the basis of wave theory. So join me in my next lecture then. Until then, do take very good care of yourself and keep smiling and stay blessed. Thank you.